And possibly the biggest name maybe to move on deadline day will be Frank Lampard, who has been announced as the Everton manager. We'd heard the rumours over the past few days. Lampard, former Chelsea legend as a player, obviously the managerial career took him to Derby for one season, then Chelsea for pretty much the same. It was slightly longer, maybe a season and a half, wasn't it? And now he goes in at Everton. Lampard has been quite picky, and I'd be interested in the chat's opinion. I think his pickiness has paid off here, hasn't it? They looked at Palace. They looked at Norwich, Lampard and his people. I think he either turned down an interview or was interviewed and turned down offers. I don't know the exact truth of that. But you tell me, what's the best possible job? Everton, Norwich or Palace? I don't know. Palace is obviously a London club. Norwich at the bottom of the table with their propensity to bounce in between. Everton, traditionally the biggest club of the three by miles, isn't it? But I'm sure I'll get comments saying, well, Ben, Everton, what's the structure like there? And is it a bit of a mess to clear up? Let's see what Everton have got to say about it on their website. Everton can confirm the appointment of Frank Lampard as the club's new manager. 2.5-year deal to take him to 2024. And he's going to take charge in the Cup at the weekend. A robust recruitment process, of course it was. Tells us a bit about Derby, but we can tell you, and I'm sure my subscriber base can tell you way more than is going to be in that couple of paragraphs. Interesting here, Joe Edwards, Paul Clement, who did used to manage Derby, Chris Jones. No mention of Jody Morris there. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is there because he always had Jody Morris by his side, didn't he? Huge honour, says Lampard. First message to the players. We have to do this together. We'll try and do our job. And I know the fans will be there backing us. So Lampard in at Everton. I think the consensus with Derby, and obviously it's a bit weird judging Derby now because this is a season that's key to Middlesbrough's complaints about Derby, isn't it? Even though the amortisation issues and all of that are nothing to do with Lampard. They happened before Lampard arrived. Bit of a late surge into the playoffs, you have to say. But in deference to Lampard, look, it is what it is. That was a hard season in the Championship. He finished sixth. He got to the playoff final. So you can do all the ifs, buts and maybes in terms of Lampard. But you have to conclude he got damn close to Derby in the Premier League. Look, came up against Villa, Grealish, Abraham, Mings, etc. in the playoff final and one bridge too far. But decent job. I think at Chelsea, it was one of those where that was the only time, lightning in a bottle, he was going to get that job at that early stage of his career with the embargo and stuff. And just after that good season at Derby, and sadly for Lampard, when it was kind of not working out and Tuchel became available, they were pretty ruthless. But that's the deal at Chelsea. How will he do with Everton? Well, I suppose the good thing for Lampard in terms of Everton is that he's going to start from a low base, which always looks good, doesn't it? Let me just bring up the table over on the other screen. So Everton, they haven't even got a point per game. It's really poor, especially considering how they started the season. They've been on a dreadful run. Got 19 points from 20 games. So you would assume that a relatively competent job would pretty much wouldn't be too difficult for a good manager. And you tell me whether you think Lampard is that, to take them at least up into that next quartile. And then I suppose the long-term outlook for Everton is obviously, we don't compare to Howard Kendall and winning the title or Joe Royle and winning the FA Cup. Although, to be fair to Joe Royle, they were down at the bottom of the league when they did win the FA Cup, weren't they? I think the comparison is David Moyes that Everton will want, and i.e. build that club up, exactly what he's done with West Ham, and get to that stage just one level below the elite there. So look, I'm a big Lampard fan, actually. I thought he was a great player. Obviously, that doesn't make him a great manager. We all know plenty of great... Look, Bobby Charlton was not a very good manager, and he was one of the greatest of all time, wasn't he? So that kind of proves that point in a nutshell, doesn't it? But what I loved about Lampard as a player was this kind of commitment to improvement, this obvious drive and work ethic from becoming Fat Frank at West Ham, and that famous clip of the supporters Q&A with Harry Redknapp, where they basically accuse Harry of only picking him because of his name. And, well, I think he proved everybody right there, Redknapp, didn't he? Because Lampard was an all-time great in terms of the Premier League. If the same can be said about his management and that work ethic and that kind of studious nature of his, is a key quality, then, he'll be a really good manager. But the jury is still out, isn't it? It's almost like the Chelsea thing is just confusing. It doesn't really tell us a hell of a lot. And neither does the Derby thing just in one season. Although I have to say, getting that close with Derby, you have to kind of say it's a job well done, isn't it? So good luck to Frank Lampard. I think he'll do all right, I have to say. And my definition of all right is by the end of this season, they need to be 10th to 15th, don't they? And then going forward, they need to become a top half team. And then the end game, I guess, for any team in the Premier League that is not Liverpool, Chelsea, or Man City, and then Man United, Arsenal, or Tottenham, the end goal for any of those is to be close. And I suppose West Ham and Moyes, the former Everton manager, is the blueprint there. So, yeah, get me your thoughts in on Lampard. I've rambled for a while on him, but I wanted to say a little bit because we can clip that out. Let's see if we can get some comments. At Derby, you got a lot of help with loan deals. Yes, he did. That's part of the job, isn't it, though? Some would argue Steven Gerrard can only get Phil Coutinho because of relationships, and relationships are part of business. But I do agree. Anything else on Frank Lampard here? Jay, Everton might have timed this announcement wrong. Should have got it done to give Lampard a chance. Yeah, maybe. I'm sure he's already there, though, in the building, working on it. Ben, do they officially get renamed Frank Lampard's Everton? Of course they do, Ben. Whenever you get a big name, and whatever your feelings on Lampard, he's definitely a big name. One of the, quote, golden generation, an all-time great in the Premier League. Let's see if there's any more comments on Mr. Lampard. Duncan Ferguson's going to stay. Yeah, he's part of the furniture there as well. Alex, I think Frank has played that well. Everton, definitely the best option out of three. I agree. Yeah, good luck to him. I like Frank. Rafa was always on a hiding to nothing. He needs to be a player's manager to be successful. Yes. Yeah. And sometimes with great players, they've got to be able to relate to players who weren't as good as they were. That was always the kind of issue with Glenn Hoddle, was the thought that he couldn't relate to players who weren't as good as he is. And you would put Frank, Glenn Hoddle's probably a better player than Frank Lampard even, but you take my point. What Lampard should have done is take a Gerrard route. Maybe the offers were there though, weren't they, for Rangers? That job came up at the same time, didn't it? Big Duncan linked with Sunderland. Interesting. Now I rate Rooney higher than Lampard. That'll be a good one to keep an eye on, won't it? Now Lampard's back, Gerrard's there, Rooney's there as well. You love to see it. I reckon he didn't go to Norwich due to our lack of funding. Yeah, would you believe Lampard interviewed for Ipswich in 2018 and didn't get the assurances he wanted? So he's, some would say, picky, but it's almost like Superman catching the bus, isn't it? If you can fly, why would you take the bus? If you're Frank Lampard and you've got that big name value, and whether you like it or not, that name value gets you in the door for an interview. And why not after such a great career, I guess? Why not go in and say, what have I got to spend? What's the project here? And if the project is you're going to get 5 million quid from Martin Waghorn, who ironically Frank Lampard took to Derby, then why would you not take the job? There we go. Last word on Frank Lampard into Everton. Good luck, Frank. And thank you for all of the comments in on that one, as Lampard is confirmed to be landing at Everton today.